welcome back. Today I am bringing you my September wrap-up. In September I participated in 2 readathons, the Book Buddy-a-thon and the Fairy Tale-a-thon. In each of those readathons I read 3 books, and so I will link my wrap-up videos for those books down below, and I won't be going over those 6 books. But I read a total of 17 books this month, which is really awesome for me. And so I will get into the books that I read after the readathons. So first off, I read 2 mangas from the same series. I read Peyote Crossblade Volume 4 and 5. This series takes place at Tenchi Academy, which is an all-girls boarding school. And they not only offer your regular classes, but the curriculum also includes sword arts. So the girls learn how to do sword fighting, and there is a ranking system. So when you start out at the school, you're at the bottom, rank D, and your objective is to win duels and try to level up to rank S, which is your highest level, and that is where your student council members are. So Hayate starts the school at rank D, and before she can even participate in duels, she needs to find a partner, or what they call a sister in arms. The story explores how Hayate finds a sister in arms and makes friends with some of the girls at the school, and the relationships between the girls, as well as how they move up through the ranks of the system. This series is something that my daughter borrowed from the library, and so I thought I'd go ahead and read it as well. I did think that Hayate was pretty silly and immature. However, in the volumes 4 and 5 that I read last month, the story got much better. I don't know if you know this, but manga series come with ratings just like movies and TV shows. This manga series is rated for older teens, and I gave both of these volumes 3 stars. The next book I read was The Vines by Christopher Rice. This is a thriller novel set in Louisiana, New Orleans to be specific, at a refurbished or renovated plantation home. The story starts with their Caitlin having a large birthday party at the home, and she finds her husband cheating on her, and Caitlin's not emotionally stable, and so upon seeing this, she decides she's going to go kill herself. And so she goes outside to the gazebo and attempts to commit suicide by slicing her wrists. But by doing so, her blood awakens a dark force in the ground, hence the vines. It feeds the vines, and the vines take on a life of their own and start enacting vengeance on people. I had a hard time with this book. Based on the summary of the book, I thought this would be right down my alley, but I just could not get into it, and I don't know what it was. I started it on audiobook because I borrowed it from Kindle Unlimited, and I don't know, the narrator just wasn't clicking with me, and so I decided to go ahead and switch over to the ebook version, and I still couldn't get into it. Towards the end, it started getting a little more interesting, but I thought that the end was kind of rushed. They introduced something towards the end that I thought could have been explored more and would have made the book much better, in my opinion, but it just didn't happen, and then I was left with a question. And so I ended up giving this book 2 stars. It was my first Christopher Rice book, and though I didn't particularly care for or get along with this book, I still think I would try another one of his novels because the premise was very interesting to me. Next up, I read 2 more mangas from another series. I read volumes 13 and 14 of Fairy Tale. This manga is about a magical guild, and it follows 4 of our main characters as they take on jobs and fight bad guys. My daughter and I watched the anime series, and we're just getting through the manga series, which is very close to the anime. In these 2 volumes, we're still in a part of the story where my daughter and I have already seen on the anime. This manga is rated teen. I gave each of these volumes 3 stars. Next, I read 3 more volumes of manga from yet another series, and I promise this is the last set of manga that I read in September. I read volumes 5, 6, and 7 of the manga series Blackbird. Our main character, Misao, has always been able to see demons even from when she was small. Her next door neighbor, Kyo, at the time, was able to help keep her safe and make her feel safe. But one day, Kyo tells her that he has to leave, but he will be back for her and he'll make her his bride. And then the story moves forward 10 years and is now Misao's 16th birthday, and all of a sudden the demons start attacking her, like physically hurting her, where she's bleeding and is being caused harm. And then her savior appears, someone who's able to make the demons go away. And she realizes that it's Kyo, the boy that she grew up next door to, who helped keep her safe. But she doesn't understand why all of a sudden he's back. He tells her that she is the Maiden of Prophecy, the Senka Maiden, and now that she's turned 16, her powers have unlocked. Prophecy states that if a demon drinks her blood, they'll become very powerful. If they consume her flesh, they will live a very long life. And if a demon makes her his bride, their clan will prosper. Well, guess what Kyo is? He is the clan leader of the Tengus, which is a bird demon, and he intends on making her his bride. So this series kind of follows Kyo and Misao's relationship and how Misao comes to terms with the prophecy and her feelings towards Kyo. My daughter brought home this series from the library during this past summer, and she only read the first volume and didn't care for it very much. But I really enjoyed the series. It's got that paranormal element, and I really like the artwork. This series is rated older teen, and I gave each of these volumes 4 stars. The next book I read was Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I'm sure you all know what this story is about. It's a psychological thriller where a man's wife goes missing and they believe that he has killed her, yet he maintains his innocence. I thought I would really enjoy this book. I really like mysteries and murder mysteries, but I did not like this book at all. In fact, I had a really hard time getting through it. I had mentioned that I was about 50% of the way in, and I thought it was okay. And then I thought we were finally getting somewhere with the story, only to be let down, and it just continued letting me down. I don't know what it is. I think a big part of the reason I did not like this book is because I could care less about any of the characters that were involved except for Go, who is the sister of Nick, who is the husband, being accused of murder. Go was like the silver lining. I really enjoyed her character. She was a really supportive sister. Nick I didn't like. I thought he was kind of weak, especially towards the end. Amy, who is the wife that goes missing, I could not stand her at all. I found her despicable. And the end of the book was just ridiculous, at least in my opinion. I will probably not be reading any more of Gillian Flynn's novels just due to the experience that I had with this book. If I do decide to pick up another Gillian Flynn novel, it will not be in the near future, I don't think. I don't like to give 1-star ratings, and I try to avoid it if at all possible. I think I've only given one in the 6 or 7 years that I've been on Goodreads, but I could not give this book any more than 1.5 stars. Since Goodreads doesn't do the half stars, though, it ends up being 2 stars because I always round up my rating. The next book I read was The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. This is a 1001 Nights retelling. I started this on audiobook from my library, and I really enjoyed this book. I have not read the original Arabian Nights, but from what I knew of the story, this book was very similar. So I can't really tell you what was different or what makes it a retelling, but it was very enjoyable to me. I am glad that I started out on the audiobook because it helped me with pronunciation. The band geek in me wanted to listen to Scheherazade by Rimsky-Korsakov while I was reading this, so I did play it a couple times, and it helped with the ambiance of the story, I think. If you're not familiar with that piece of music, I will find a link and put it down below so you can listen. The only thing that I didn't like about this The only thing that I did not care for about this book was the fact that I did not know that it was going to be a part of a series. As I mentioned before, I don't usually start series until most, if not all, of the books are out yet. But this book's ending was not a cliffhanger to me, which is good because I'm not feeling the need to immediately pick up the next one, which I wouldn't be able to anyway because it's not out yet. But I am definitely looking forward to reading it when it does. I gave this book 4 stars. The final book I read in September was The Bad Beginning, which is the first book in the series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. I listened to this on audiobook from Scribd, and this was actually the multicast version. So it was narrated by Tim Curry, and it had the voices of Jim Carrey, Meryl Streep, and Jude Law. It also included sound effects, which was really interesting, though I found that sometimes they were too prominent and overtook the narration at times. If you're not familiar with this series, it follows the 3 Baudelaire children after they've been orphaned. And this first novel is called The Bad Beginning, and so the story is not a happy one. The kids are pretty ingenious. I did enjoy this book. I had read the first book many years ago before the movie came out, and then I watched the movie and never continued reading the rest of the series. So I'm really excited to get back into this series and read all 13 books. I gave this book 3 stars. That completes my wrap up for September. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if you have any questions or are interested in any of them. I'd love to chat with you about them in the comments below. I hope you're all doing great. And until next time, take care and Smi-Le always.